We were still a good couple on paper. If someone had looked at us from the outside, the shared apartment filled with plants, the framed travel photos, the weekend brunches with friends, they'd have seen something stable. Maybe even enviable. We had rhythm, coordination, inside jokes. But we didn't have closeness. Not anymore. Her name is Emma. We've been married for 8 years. We don't have kids, not because we couldn't, but because we kept waiting for the right time. Then one day we stopped bringing it up, like it was a topic that belonged to someone else's life. It's strange how distance doesn't begin with anger. It begins with small, polite gestures. A kiss on the cheek instead of the lips. A good night, said from another room. You tell yourself it's temporary, that everyone goes through quiet phases. But quiet has gravity. The longer it lasts, the more it pulls. Emma works as a project coordinator for an architecture firm. Her world is full of blueprints, client calls, and late revisions. Mine is software, algorithms, reports, endless emails that all say the same thing. We used to talk about work like it was gossip. I loved how animated she got when describing office politics. Lately, though, she'd mention new names, colleagues I didn't know, with a kind of warmth I hadn't heard in a while. There was one name that started appearing more often, Ethan. He's a designer, she said once when I asked. Brilliant with space, terrible with deadlines. She laughed. I laughed too, because that's what you do when you trust someone. The first time I noticed something was off, it was over something small, the way she started checking her phone at dinner. Not obsessively, just often. A flash of light, a quick reply, a faint smile. She'd turn it over face down. I didn't say anything. People check their phones. That's normal. But after a while, normal started to feel staged. In early spring, we went to a dinner party hosted by mutual friends. It was the kind of evening filled with curated playlists and wine people pretended to know about. Emma was in her element, charming, attentive, alive. I watched her talk to everyone at the table, weaving between conversations with that effortless warmth I fell in love with. Then, during dessert, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it quickly, and something in her face shifted, just slightly, a soft light under her expression. She excused herself, said she needed to make a quick call about work. When she came back, she seemed lighter. I tried not to think about it. That night, as we were brushing our teeth, I asked, "Was that Ethan?" She paused mid-brush. "Yeah. He just needed to confirm something for a project. On a Saturday night?" She rinsed, looked at me in the mirror. "Deadlines don't wait." It was a perfectly reasonable answer. That's what made it worse. Around that time, I started noticing the little things. She hummed more often while getting ready. She started wearing perfume again, not every day, but enough that I noticed. When she talked about work, her stories had a pulse again. I don't know if it was jealousy or fear that started to grow in me, but it was there, a quiet, constant hum. I told myself I trusted her. I did. But trust feels different when it's being tested. One night, I came home late from work. The apartment was dark except for the faint glow from her laptop. She was on the couch, smiling softly at the screen. Not the kind of smile you give to spreadsheets. She didn't notice me right away. "Hey," I said. She jumped slightly, then closed the laptop. "You scared me." "Sorry." "Late night." "Yeah. Ethan and I were finalizing a presentation." There it was again. His name, the thread that kept weaving through our conversations, pulling tighter every time. I sat down beside her. "You've been spending a lot of time with him." She didn't look defensive, just tired. "It's work, Alex. You know how that goes." "Sure," I said, though we both knew that wasn't an answer. She hesitated, then added, He's easy to talk to. That sentence stayed in my head long after she'd gone to bed. Easy to talk to. I used to be that. I used to know how to make her laugh without trying. When did I stop being easy? When did I become effort? I spent the next few weeks in quiet analysis, not of her, but of myself. Had I missed something obvious? Was I too withdrawn, too distracted, too predictable? The truth is, I'd grown lazy in the relationship. Comfortable. We both had. You start assuming love will maintain itself if you just keep showing up. But love, I was realizing, is more like a garden. It doesn't die suddenly, it just stops being tended to. We had dinner with her parents one Sunday. Emma looked beautiful that day, hair up, simple white dress, the same perfume from when we first met. Her mother kept saying, "You two look so good together." And I smiled, because that's what you do when people say that. But halfway through the meal, Emma's phone buzzed again. I didn't even have to look. I knew the rhythm of that vibration now. After dinner on the drive home, I asked, "Are you happy?" She frowned. "What do you mean?" "Just in general. With us." She stared out the window for a long moment. "I don't know," she said finally. "Sometimes I feel like we're just managing each other." The words landed like a quiet punch. Not cruel, not unfair, just honest. When we got home, she went straight to bed. I stayed in the living room, staring at our wedding photo on the shelf. We looked so young in it, nervous, certain, blind. I sat there for hours, the apartment silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. It was the sound of something still running long after it had stopped working. By the time I came to bed, she was already asleep, or pretending to be. I lay there beside her, wide awake, staring at the ceiling. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Just afraid. Because I could feel it. Something was shifting beneath us, quiet and unstoppable. And the worst part was knowing that when it finally surfaced, it wouldn't be a single betrayal. It would be the sum of everything we'd stopped saying. It's strange how quickly normal becomes performance. We still had breakfast together every morning, but now the conversations were rehearsed. "How'd you sleep?" "Fine." "What's your schedule like today?" "The usual." Each answer felt like placing a stone between us, small, smooth, cumulative. Emma had started going into the office earlier. "We've got a big client presentation next month," she said, pouring coffee into her travel mug. "Ethan's a perfectionist." She said it casually, without irony. I wanted to ask, "Do you like that about him?" But I didn't. I just nodded and said, "Makes sense." The truth is, I didn't want confirmation. Suspicion is easier to live with than proof. Proof leaves no space for hope. One night, after a long day at work, I came home to find her sitting on the floor, papers scattered around her like fallen leaves. She looked frustrated, overwhelmed. Without thinking, I sat beside her and started helping her sort them. For a moment, something softened between us, old muscle memory. We worked in silence, shoulder to shoulder, our knees brushing. When we finished, she exhaled and smiled. "Thanks," she said. I smiled back. "Anytime." It should have been a small, healing moment. But then her phone buzzed again, that same familiar rhythm. She glanced at it, hesitated, and the softness vanished. She stood up, brushing her hands against her jeans. "I should get back to this," she murmured. I stayed on the floor, looking at the papers, thinking how easily warmth can turn into distance. How fragile peace is when it has competition. That weekend, we went to her friend's birthday party, one of those crowded gatherings filled with laughter that doesn't quite reach the eyes. I tried to be social, to blend in. Emma was radiant, effortlessly charming, as she always was in public. She looked like the version of herself she used to be around me, confident, alive, magnetic. But I realized something halfway through the evening. She wasn't performing for me anymore. Later, when we got home, I said quietly, "You seemed happy tonight." She smiled, distracted. "Yeah, it was nice to feel connected to people." "Connected," I repeated. She heard the tone and sighed. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Make everything sound like an accusation." I wanted to tell her I wasn't accusing her. I was just trying to find where I fit in her world now. But instead, I said nothing. We went to bed in silence. A few days later, I worked from home. Around lunchtime, I heard her phone buzzing on the kitchen counter. The screen lit up. "Ethan, incoming call." I froze. My first impulse was to answer, to end the guessing. But I didn't. Instead, I just watched it ring, the name glowing like a quiet confession. When it stopped, I exhaled, the kind of exhale that feels like defeat. When Emma came home, I didn't mention it. But she must have sensed something, because later, while washing dishes, she said softly, "You've been quiet lately." I forced a smile. "Just tired." "You've been just tired 4 months." I shrugged. "You too." We stood there, water running, plates clinking. Neither of us said the word we were both circling, unhappy. A few nights later, I couldn't sleep. I got up, went to the kitchen, poured a glass of water. From the window, I saw her car parked under the streetlight, still streaked with rain. Something about the sight, so ordinary, so familiar, hit me with sudden grief. I used to know every version of her, the sleepy morning one, the talkative after-wine one, the silent, thoughtful one. Now I was living beside a stranger who still looked like my wife. The next morning I asked, "Are you seeing him?" The words came out quieter than I expected, like I was afraid of their echo. She froze, mug halfway to her lips. "What?" "You heard me." She set the mug down slowly. "No," she said after a pause. "I'm not seeing him. We work together." I nodded. "You also text him at midnight." Her jaw tightened. "Sometimes projects run late." I laughed, not cruelly, just brokenly. "Emma, you don't have to lie to me." She looked at me for a long time, then said something that hurt more than denial. "I'm not lying," she whispered. "I just don't know what to tell you anymore." That night, she didn't come home. She texted around 11, "Staying late, big deadline tomorrow." I stared at the message for a long time before typing back, "Okay. Be safe." She didn't reply. I went to bed alone, her side of the bed cold and neatly made. The sound of the city outside felt too loud. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of the door unlocking. She slipped in quietly, thinking I was asleep. She smelled faintly of perfume and rain. She undressed slowly, carefully, as if afraid to wake me. Then she sat on the edge of the bed for a moment before lying down, her back turned to me. I lay there, eyes open, every sense alive. I could feel the distance between us, not in inches, but in meaning. After a while, she whispered, "Are you awake?" I didn't answer. She sighed, not with guilt, not with sadness, but with exhaustion. The kind of sigh you let out when you know something has ended but can't say it yet. The next morning, we went through the motions again. Coffee, brief smiles, a kiss on the cheek. She left early, like always. After the door closed, I sat in the kitchen, looking at the 2 mugs on the table. Hers still half full, a lipstick mark on the rim. I wanted to hate her. I wanted to blame Ethan, or her, or myself. But what I felt instead was something quieter, a hollow sadness, the kind that doesn't ask for answers. Because deep down, I already knew. Whatever was left between us wasn't love anymore. It was history. Emma didn't come home for 2 nights in a row. No explanations, just short texts, late at work. "Don't wait up." By then, I'd stopped pretending to believe them. The human brain can justify anything when it's afraid, but mine was tired of bending. On the third evening, she finally walked in. No guilt, no guilt's opposite, just fatigue. She looked like someone returning from a place she didn't belong but couldn't quite leave. "Hey," I said. "Hey," she echoed, setting her keys down. There was a pause long enough for both of us to fill it with everything we weren't saying. "Do you want to talk?" I asked. She looked up, met my eyes, and for the first time in months, she didn't look away. "Yeah," she said quietly. We sat on opposite sides of the couch, the same couch where we used to eat pizza on Friday nights, legs tangled, laughing at bad TV. Now it felt like neutral ground. "I don't want to lie anymore," she started. "Then don't." She nodded slowly, rubbing her hands together. "I've been seeing him." I didn't flinch. I'd rehearsed this scene too many times to be surprised. "How long?" "A few months." I swallowed. "Are you in love with him?" She hesitated, not the pause of someone caught, but of someone searching for truth. "I don't know," she said finally. "I think I was just seen. He noticed things about me, asked how I was, and waited for the real answer. I didn't plan for it to happen." I let out a small, humorless laugh. "You never do." "I know." Her voice broke a little. "I didn't want to hurt you." "You did anyway." Silence. Not the cold kind. The fragile kind that feels like standing on ice. "I wanted to tell you before," she said, her eyes glistening. "But I kept hoping we could fix us first." "And did you try?" "I thought I did. But maybe I was just hoping you'd notice something was wrong." I almost told her I had noticed. Every late text, every distant glance. But I'd mistaken it for exhaustion, for routine. Maybe because it was easier than admitting I was losing her. I asked, "Do you want to stay?" She looked stunned, like I'd given her a choice she hadn't expected. "Do you want me to?" That was the question. The one that hollowed me out. I thought about it, about the years, the shared memories, the comfort of habit. About the nights we used to stay up talking about our future, when our biggest argument was whose turn it was to do the dishes. "I don't know," I said finally. "I want you to stay. But that's not the same thing." Tears welled in her eyes. "I'm so sorry." I believed her. I think that's what made it worse. She moved out a week later. Quietly, respectfully. No shouting, no slammed doors. Just boxes, folded clothes, and a few awkward hugs. She took most of her things, left behind some books, a sweater, a few old photos that felt too sentimental to pack. I helped her carry the last box to the car. The trunk clicked shut like punctuation. Before getting in, she turned to me. "You were good to me, Alex." I almost said, apparently not good enough. But instead, I said, "We were good to each other. For a while." She nodded, tears caught in her lashes. Then she said something I didn't expect. "I think we just stopped choosing each other." And with that, she got in the car and drove away. The first week alone felt like static. The apartment was too quiet, too clean. Her absence was everywhere. In the half-empty dresser, the silence where her laughter used to live. Grief came in strange forms. Not crying, not anger. Just moments, standing in the kitchen, reaching for 2 plates instead of 1. Hearing a song that used to be ours. Seeing her mug in the dishwasher. The little ghosts of a shared life. For a while, I kept expecting her to text. She didn't. Neither did I. Sometimes, love doesn't end with hate. It ends with exhaustion. Months passed. Seasons changed the light in the apartment. I rearranged the furniture, started running again, even joined a photography class. I made friends, tentative at first, then real. Every now and then, I catch myself thinking about her, not the way she left, but the way she used to smile when she thought no one was watching, the way she'd hum when she cooked, the way she'd squeeze my hand in crowded places. I missed her, yes, but not the version that left. I missed who we were when we still believed in each other. One evening in late autumn, I saw her again. It wasn't planned. I was at a bookstore downtown, flipping through travel essays, when I heard her laugh, that unmistakable sound, softer now, but still hers. She was standing near the window, holding a coffee cup, talking to a woman I didn't recognize. She looked happy. Not euphoric, not giddy, just quietly at peace. She noticed me before I could look away. For a moment, we both froze. Then she smiled. A small, gentle smile. I smiled back. We didn't approach each other. There was no need. Some goodbyes don't need to be spoken twice. That night, walking home, I thought about what she'd said. We just stopped choosing each other. It had sounded sad at the time, but now I understood it differently. Love isn't something that disappears overnight. It fades through small decisions. The ones where you stop trying, stop noticing, stop showing up. We both let it fade. At home, I poured a cup of tea and sat by the window, the city lights blinking below. The apartment still felt empty, but not unbearable. More like a blank page. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel haunted by what was lost. I just felt ready for whatever came next.